Don't worry, folks. I know we're running behind schedule, but the clocks go back, so you get an extra hour, so it's fine.
All right, let's have a look. So we've got some audio, and we've got some words that we're going to say in between. So 20 years of making waves behind bars. We've been digging in the archives to find audio of Radio 10, and let's have a listen to the first one.
Hello, Radio 10 listeners.
20 years of making waves behind bars. In 10 minutes. Good luck. This is Radio 10.
So what you've just heard is all prisoners. The point of the radio station is prisoners involved with it, but there's been some staff around that radio station for the last 20 years. Now, we started together in 2008. There were people before us, but this is us 14 years ago. I was going to Photoshop some hair on Simon and Donovan, but...
I don't know about you, Donovan, but I look the same.
So do I.
I mean, it has gone a bit grey, I guess, but, you know. Yeah, thank you. Money pint in the bar later. Right, so let's go into it. So Radio 10, I was told earlier, the chap with Radio Player built the Radio 10 studios many years ago. Isn't that amazing?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, that's brilliant. So, 2004 it actually launched, 27th of January. We were prepping it, the people behind it, James Greenshield, who's in the photo there from Media for Development, and the Governor, Jim Heavens, at the time. They prepped it. Before that, in 2003, they were testing it, and it first broadcast on 9:99 a.m. Yeah. Let's have a listen to how it sounded. Hopefully.
999 medium wave.
Welcome to Show 4 on Radio 10. On this week's show, we'll take you through an hour of news and views and interviews from around the prison.
What would your advice be for anyone who's coming out of Wandsworth or coming out of the prison system at the moment?
Arsenal outplayed Bolton Wanderers by 3-1 at Raybrooke Stadium.
This is David Cameron, and you're listening to Radio 10.
One of the many courses that Wandsworth Prison offers is the YMCA NVQ Level 2 Gym Instructor.
Seymour's girlfriend says it's nice to hear good things coming out of Wandsworth Prison.
It's very nice to come here to see the awards, see some nice people working here, and it's given me great hope for when he comes home, hoping for a new future.
Well, that's it for this week's Core Hour.
Stay tuned to Radio 10.
So it was originally on 9:99 a.m. and it was via an hour CD. So they put the CD in, rotated that around. But then in 2008, we did something different, Simon.
Yes, so we went 24 hours a day, all pre-recorded because of what the MOJ say that we have to pre-record everything. Check it before it goes out. So we go 24 hours a day, and it works like any other community radio station. So the guys in prisons aren't very good at waking up very well. So what we do is we've got breakfast shows, we've got when they're at work or education, there's information, there's adverts, they make documentaries and things like that. So that also leads to education as well.
Yeah, and Big D has that, Donovan McGrath.
Yeah, well, in keeping with the ethos of community radio, our prison radio project involves the community that it serves. And, with that, there comes a training that's involved with that. There's a significant amount of training. We deliver, and that's where Simon steps in and myself step in. We deliver a qualification, the NCFE Level 1 Award in radio and the NCFE Level 2 Certificate in radio. We'll let the guys tell you about that themselves.
You are listening to Radio 10.
What's going on, Radio 10? Obviously, this is the voice of Rossi, who hosts the UK Showcase and the Takeover.
I'm Kyle from the KC Show.
We got an amazing opportunity for you lots. We are promoting the Radio 10 course here at HAP Wandsworth that requires you to come in, do your level 1, and then when you finish your level 1, you do your level 2. You will be able to create content just like myself and Gal have been doing. And yeah, this is a great opportunity. You get to learn with the ins and outs of radio production, how to do interviews, how to write scripts, how to record and edit. So if all that sounds good to you and you want to work in an environment where it is similar to ones on Capital Extra, Radio 1 Extra, then all you need to do is send the app via the Radio 1 app on the Wing kiosk and we'll get it through. Then if you want to be a HMP Wandsworth celebrity like myself and Carl is, then there's only one thing to do. Come join the Radio 1 course here at HMP Wandsworth.
So the chap in the image, Jimmy, he did Radio 1, then went to Brixton, did National Prison Radio, then left prison, then came back to prison to teach radio similarly to how we do it in Swifton Hall, which is brilliant. You know, that's amazing that happened. Right, we'll give you a quick studio tour. We'll talk it through as you go through, because it's a radio station just like you, but...
Classroom area. This is the classroom area. Scheduling for the day. Resources, essential resources, necessary. Yeah. And more resources right here on the table.
Who put those there?
Get to read the books. Yeah. Moving straight in across some equipment, essential equipment there for radio.
So the idea is that they can actually go into this radio station like any other community radio station and they get the real world experience.
Yeah. This is our studios. Studio 1 and Studio 2.
Slightly different maybe to when you built them years ago? Yeah. And in a minute you're going to see how they see it, because it used to be on 999 AM, but now you'll see that that's how prisoners listen to our prison radio station, and we have digital posters on the screen as well, so that we can promote what we're doing and how we're doing it. And that was put on the whiteboard years ago and won't rub off, but it was a guide to how to do radio. So that's the little tour of Radio 1. Now let's listen to some content. I'm going to let this do the talking.
In the lead up to World AIDS Day, I spent time in the studios of Radio 10 HMP Wandsworth with two men who live in prison with the HIV virus and under the threat of AIDS.
There's a lot of stigma even in prison today with HIV.
I wanted to learn what I could about living in such a close-knit environment with a serious condition like HIV and what prejudice, including my own, exists in the prison community and beyond.
I was asleep one night in my cell and a guy jumped on my head because I didn't tell him I was HIV positive.
I also wanted to understand what role, if any, drugs have played in the lives of these men.
I'm too old now, I've had enough. You know, I've let drugs ruin my life and take everything away from me. From release, I'm going to try and go to a rehab and sort out my life and try and live for the few years I have left.
Wait, what do you mean the few years you have left?
With HIV, you get a lifespan of 20 to 25 years from the time you're diagnosed with HIV.
You could be dead by 50, is that what you're saying, Tommy?
Yes.
So we don't know where Tommy is now. That's 10 years ago. I hope he's there. I hope he's out there. He didn't come back to prison. He learnt to read and write in prison from you guys working with him.
He did. Proudest moment. They usually phone their relatives, chat to them, but he told us a story once of how his mum was in tears because he'd written her a letter for the first time. And that's what they can take away from doing the course.
I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? We could play some more audio. Si?
Yes, so doing time. So how many of you have heard of Desert Island Discs? Well, it's not quite like that. It's set in prison. And what I'll do is, actually, I'll let the guys describe it.
And now, Doing Time, a series where a well-known figure and role model gives a frank and honest interview in the austere and challenging environment of a prison.
So Hugh Jackman's one of them. We have many others who came in to share their doing time with us, like Desert Island Discs, but let's have a quick listen to Hugh.
We take for granted now that you're allowed to see your family, okay, because that's what you're allowed to do in prison. But I'm going to allow you an extra visit with someone who you miss. So a little bit more serious, maybe. Who would you choose?
Let me think. I'm going to this is a very truthful answer. I'm going to say my father, who has Alzheimer's. So he's still alive, but if I can have my wish, I'd have him 5 years ago, if that makes sense.
If you kind of step back a bit from that, this is a Hollywood A-lister with a prisoner interviewing them. And the guy, when he did these interviews, they all said, that's a powerful interview. I've never done an interview like that before, didn't they? It's powerful stuff. Let's move on quickly, Donovan.
Yeah, and here we have Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry came into the prison to show his support for literacy, which is provided by education, and the toe-by-toe peer support in learning to read. Stephen Fry, in this audio clip here, which is from an award-winning piece of audio, Stephen Fry shares his concerns and about the issues that people face when they're being released from prison. This is Stephen Fry.
And those are not problems that belong to those with mental health or those who are prisoners. They're the problems that society has. And it's bad enough to be mentally ill, and it's bad enough that one has done something that has got one into a place like this. But that for society still not to be able to cope with you that's the double body blow. And I think that's where everybody else has so much to learn. The moment you leave prison should be the moment when society embraces you and hugs you and kisses you and welcomes you back.
And then COVID changed what we do, as it did for you as well. And so in the prison, we couldn't work directly with prisoners, but we had to keep them in the know. So we did a lot of work creating awareness for what was happening with COVID within prisons, using the radio station as a communication tool. The governor was on the radio every single day for the first sort of 3 months, I think it was. But we had to do things different. So I'm going to play 2 bits of audio. There were some incredible things we did. We started a request line for the radio station. Imagine that, for a prison request line. We set up a number with an answer phone and people
Didn't Stephen Fry call us up?
Stephen Fry called our request line and left a message to the guys. So, but there was one thing we did, which is Diary of a Life Under Lockdown. So one of the guys who was on Radio 10, we gave him a portable recorder. His partner, who was at home, she started recording audio on her phone, and they pieced it together. Here's a sample.
I just put down the phone from Craig's phone call, and we have been writing each other lots of letters and lots of emails. Not the same as being face-to-face with your loved one.
As it's early this morning, with very little sunlight out here, and the situation has become more important, I think, to our appreciation of sunlight once a day. There's a little corner about 3 metres square with some light here at the moment, which all 14 of us are trying to race to. I wonder how social distancing is going to work with this one.
And I remember earlier David Lloyd saying that, some of the listeners get in touch with him made him cry. This has done the same for us, Prison Radio, over the years. We were all applauding on a Thursday at 8 o'clock. Incredibly, they were doing it in a prison. Here's just a little bit. I've just taken a snippet of it, but if I heard the whole thing, I'll be off. It's the prison bell, just to signal the end of the time for applause. They just started it themselves, So it's incredible. So awards over the years, all of that audio you've heard other than the bell is award-winning. It all won awards for the guys who are involved with it. We've been really lucky ourselves. The Butler Trust Award was for us, but everything else on there, the 104, if you like 103, were for the guys. And they often haven't been recognised in their lives, and they get this as a first recognition. The Kerslers are really important, but look at the others. They're up against, other competitors yourselves, up against the BBC, the Radio Academy Station of the Year for London and the South East. Yeah. We were shocked by that, weren't we? It was amazing. But there you go. Just quickly to talk about the future, because that's tomorrow, that's what it's about. So we have Radio 10, it will be 20 years anniversary. We'll start celebrating that in March. We're having a special event inside the prison. But we're building other radio stations. My job is head of communications for London prisons, so 6 London prisons. It works in Wandsworth. We're trying to do that now in the other prisons that I'm in charge of communications for. So we're building a radio station in Penfield and Isis. They'll be on air by Christmas and Highdown next year. But the pathways to employment's important, and the connection to community radio. We started this conversation pre-pandemic. All of that got in the way. We want to continue that conversation. How can people come from prison and maybe work with your organisations? One thing I'd say to anyone who runs a prison radio station, especially here in Leicester, you got this digital sort of group of radio stations. Get in touch with Leicester Prison. Start talking to them about running their own prison radio station in there. Get in touch with prisons in your community. So that's just a little bit about that. And lastly, it's impact. We've got a bit of audio and we're out of here, but you work with them day in, day out.
Yeah, so we had one of my guys recently, he got shipped to another prison, but wrote us a letter. So he'd previously been in the forces, but he'd written us a letter to just say that actually, from being at Radio 10, his life now has a purpose. Because before that, he was wandering aimlessly. He'd left the armed forces, but now he had actually had something to do and something to work towards.
I think it's impacting the prison as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the impact on the prison radio is far-reaching. You know, beginning with the person that's participating in prison radio, right through to the listener, right through to the staff that work within the prison,
it's changed
friends
us as
and
well.
family, right through to the public. You know. So it's a really strong impact. And so listen to the impact that it's made on the guys that will explain themselves the impact that they feel from prison radio.
Thank you for listening to Radio 10.
When I'm out on S&Ds and I go past people's cells, I see they've got Radio 10 on. That makes me feel quite proud of being part of Radio 10.
I listen to Radio 10 for information, for music, to help pass the day.
Give me information of what I want to know about the prison service, really. That's what I want to know. If I want to know from canteen to education, I listen to the radio. If they took Radio 10 away, I'd be stuck in my cell most probably all day long or all weekend. Nothing to do, no activities, no gym, no education. Because I wouldn't know, I wouldn't be informed, would I?
I think prison radio is potentially life-changing for prisoners. Radio 10, for example, gives out constantly information to help prisoners access jobs, careers opportunities, careers advice, courses that can help them rehabilitate and actually just change their whole mentality.
This is Radio 10.
Radio changes people's lives.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.